The years between 1956 and 1959 marked one of the most significant transformations in American automotive culture, and at the center of this dramatic shift stood the Plymouth Fury, a machine created not only to compete, but to dazzle, intimidate, and seduce an entire generation of drivers. It wasn't merely a car, it was a declaration that Plymouth intended to stand shoulder to shoulder with the most prestigious names in the American automotive landscape. The Fury emerged in a moment when the United States was experiencing economic prosperity, cultural reinvention, and an intense fascination with speed, style, and innovation. In those years, teenagers, families, veterans, and dreamers all looked toward the roads with a sense of limitless possibility. The Fury captured that feeling and translated it into steel, chrome, glass, and thunderous horsepower. When the first Fury appeared in 1956, it was introduced not as a standalone model line, but as a high-performance, limited production version of the Plymouth Belvedere. What set it apart instantly were its looks and its attitude. It came exclusively in sand dune white with distinctive gold anodized trim, creating a presence that was unmistakable even in a crowded parking lot filled with American iron. The Fury was bold, extravagant, and confident, reflecting the American spirit of the post-war era. Drivers didn't simply want transportation, they wanted excitement, something that made them feel alive the moment they turned the key. Plymouth understood this and crafted the Fury as a machine built for people who wanted to stand out, even without saying a word. Under the hood, the 1956 Fury came equipped with a powerful 303 cubic inch V8 engine producing up to 240 horsepower when fitted with dual 4-barrel carburetors. For its time, this was truly impressive. The Fury wasn't meant to be admired only for its beauty, it was engineered to move, to roar, to sprint forward with force. Car magazines of the era praised its acceleration and handling, noting that Plymouth had finally created a performance car that could challenge the dominance of Chevrolet and Ford in the hearts of American thrill-seekers. Every young man who dreamed of winning a street race or impressing a crowd wanted to get behind the wheel of a Fury. In 1957, the Fury underwent a dramatic transformation that would forever cement its reputation as one of the most iconic cars of the late 1950s. Plymouth launched its forward-look design language, created under the direction of designer Virgil Exner. Exner was a visionary who believed American cars should appear futuristic, not traditional, and his philosophy reshaped not only Plymouth but the entire Chrysler Corporation. Under his hand, the Fury adopted a long, low silhouette with soaring tail fins that seemed to slice through the air. The new design was radical, sleek, and unmistakably modern. With its aggressive stance, massive grille, and elongated rear fins, the Fury looked like it had come straight out of a science fiction vision of the future. Drivers across the nation found themselves drawn to the Fury not just as a machine, but as a symbol of modern American ambition. The car exuded confidence from every angle, and its style resonated with a public hungry for innovation. The automobile had become a cultural icon in the United States, representing wealth, status, and personal freedom. For many, owning a Fury was proof that they had made it, that they were part of a new era where anything felt possible. The 1957 Fury introduced a larger 318 cubic inch V8 engine with dual 4-barrel carburetors that produced up to 290 horsepower. This was an extraordinary figure for a car in its price range and its class, and it instantly elevated Plymouth's standing among performance enthusiasts. The Fury commanded respect on drag strips, highways, and city streets alike. People talked about the way it moved, smooth at cruising speeds, yet explosive when the accelerator met the floor. The engine sound alone was enough to turn heads, a deep and confident rumble that echoed pure American muscle. Even those who weren't necessarily car enthusiasts felt something when they saw a Fury pass by. The golden trim, the swept-back design, the powerful stance, all combined to create an emotional response. It was the sort of car that made strangers smile, neighbors stare, and young people dream of one day owning one. In an America filled with energy, optimism, and rapid change, the Fury embodied the feeling that the future would be brighter, faster, and more exciting than anything that had come before. The 1958 model year brought refinement rather than reinvention, but even then, the Fury maintained its place as one of the most desirable cars on the American market. Under the sleek exterior, Plymouth offered several engine options, including the famous 350 cubic inch Golden Commando V8 that pushed performance even further. Despite economic concerns in 1958 that impacted the entire automotive industry, the Fury remained a beacon of aspiration for many drivers. Its bold styling and powerful reputation made it a car people admired regardless of financial uncertainty. Even when sales slowed across the industry, the Fury's cultural impact continued to grow. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Fury's legacy is the emotional connection people developed with it during its first generation. Owners wrote letters to Plymouth describing how the car had changed their lives, stories of long road trips across the United States, of late-night drives along empty highways, of dates, adventures, and moments of triumph behind the wheel. The Fury symbolized freedom at a time when America was expanding its highways, building suburbs, and embracing the open road like never before. Entire families piled into their Furys and set off toward destinations they had only seen on postcards. Others used the car to commute to new jobs, start new lives, or simply enjoy the feeling of cruising with the windows down and the radio turned up. By 1959, the Fury line expanded and evolved even further, separating itself completely from the Belvedere and becoming a full model series with multiple body styles. The redesigned 1959 Fury showcased even more exaggerated styling in line with the late 50s American automotive trends, broader fins, larger chrome accents, and futuristic lines that captured the attention of absolutely everyone who saw it. The car became both a fashion statement and a performance machine, symbolizing the flamboyance and boldness of the era. It represented a moment in time when American automakers weren't afraid to experiment, push boundaries, or make cars that looked ready to fly into outer space. But beyond the technical advancements and the reputation for speed, the Fury gained something deeper, a mythic presence in American culture. The car became an icon in movies, magazines, and local folklore. People associated it with the golden era of American cruising, when kids hung out at drive-ins, rock and roll ruled the airwaves, and Friday nights meant polished chrome gleaming under streetlights. Seeing a Fury parked outside a diner or revving its engine near a racetrack was enough to draw crowds. It wasn't just respected, it was adored. The craftsmanship of the Fury was also a point of pride. Plymouth sought to create a car that looked luxurious but remained accessible to a wide audience. Inside, the interiors were decorated with stylish fabrics, detailed trim, and gauges that made the driver feel like they were in command of something truly special. It was a car designed not only to be fast, but to make the driver feel important, powerful, and in control. The sensation of sitting behind the wheel, gripping the steering wheel, and hearing the engine respond created a bond between driver and machine that many still speak about decades later. As America continued to evolve during the late 1950s, the Fury evolved with it. Its presence on the roads contributed to shaping the identity of the decade. The car appealed to young men seeking speed, families wanting comfort, and enthusiasts craving innovation. It was versatile, stylish, dependable, and exhilarating. Plymouth had managed to capture lightning in a bottle, creating a model that transcended simple transportation and became an emotional experience. There is also something undeniably nostalgic about the Fury. People who lived through that period often recall seeing Furys cruising through their neighborhoods, parked proudly in driveways, or shining at local car shows. It became part of the visual memory of the 1950s, a symbol of American optimism and craftsmanship. Even today, a surviving Fury from that era attracts attention immediately, stirring curiosity and admiration. Collectors seek them out not only for their rarity but for the history they carry within their frames, stories of a bygone America filled with hope and dreams. As the 1950s drew to a close, the Fury had already etched its name into automotive history. It represented a perfect blend of performance, beauty, and cultural significance. Whether roaring down a highway or sitting silently under the sun, the Fury commanded respect. It was a car that made ordinary people feel extraordinary, a machine that promised adventure and delivered it with every mile. In the hearts of many Americans, the Fury became more than a mechanical creation. It was a companion, a statement, and sometimes even a legend. The way it looked, the way it sounded, the way it moved, it all contributed to an experience that connected deeply with the national identity of the time. Plymouth had accomplished something rare. They had created a car that didn't just belong to the road, but to the culture itself. The story of the Plymouth Fury from 1956 to 1959 is the story of an America discovering itself in a new age of prosperity and ambition. It reflects the pride, excitement, and boldness of a generation ready to embrace the future. Even now, decades later, the Fury continues to represent the dazzling creativity of American automotive engineering. Its lines, its engines, and its personality remain unforgettable, reminding us of a moment in history when cars weren't just built, they were dreamed into existence, designed to capture hearts and inspire imaginations. As the Plymouth Fury moved into the late 1950s, its evolution mirrored the changing desires of American drivers, who were increasingly captivated by style, speed, and individuality. The Fury was no longer simply a high-performance edition of another model. By 1959, it had become a full-fledged line with its own identity. The decision to elevate the Fury in the model hierarchy showed Plymouth's confidence in the power of the name and the reputation it had earned. Drivers associated the Fury with excitement, precision, and elegance, and that connection became one of the strongest assets the company had during those years. This transformation did not happen overnight, but rather through a consistent commitment to designing a vehicle that embodied American ambition at its peak. Throughout its early years, the Fury maintained a strong relationship with the American dream. For many people, the car became a symbol of success, something to work toward, something to proudly display, and something to protect. The psychological impact of owning such a car during the 1950s was profound. This was a decade defined by post-war growth, suburban expansion, and a newfound national identity rooted in confidence and modernity. The Fury seamlessly slipped into that atmosphere, and its presence on American streets helped define the aesthetic of the era. Neighbors watched with admiration as these vehicles glided out of garage doors on sunny mornings, their chrome reflecting rays of light that made them look almost unreal. One of the reasons the Fury became so beloved was the way it managed to balance raw performance with an almost artistic approach to design. Every curve, every trim piece, and every line was crafted to make the car look fast even when it stood still. That sense of motion, even in rest, was a key hallmark of Virgil Exner's design philosophy. He believed cars should inspire emotion at first glance and that the future should be visible in the present. The Fury took this idea and amplified it, with its sleek profile, bold fins, and futuristic detailing. People didn't simply buy the Fury, they connected with it the moment they saw it, feeling as if they had stepped into tomorrow. On the road, the Fury delivered an experience that left a lasting impression on anyone who had the privilege of driving or riding in one. The power under the hood provided immediate satisfaction. With a simple push of the accelerator, the car responded with an eagerness that was almost alive. The V8 engines that powered the Fury throughout this period were engineered not only for impressive numbers on paper but for a visceral driving experience. The sound of the engine, deep and commanding, became part of the Fury's identity. Drivers learned to recognize that sound in traffic, an oral signature that made the Fury stand out even more. But the Fury was not all aggression and force, it also provided remarkable comfort for its time. The interior design was crafted to enhance the driver's sense of control while making passengers feel relaxed and secure. Soft bench seats, elegant dashboard layouts, and artistic touches throughout the cabin made the Fury feel more refined than many of its rivals. The juxtaposition of luxury and performance created a dual identity that broadened its appeal. It could be a family car, a weekend cruiser, or a street racer, depending on the mood and needs of its owner. This flexibility was one of the secrets behind its widespread admiration. Owners of Fury models often described a personal connection to their cars. Many recalled the first time they saw one in person, a gold-trimmed machine shimmering under dealership lights or parked proudly at a drive-in diner. The memories people formed with their Furies were powerful: first dates, cross-country adventures, triumphs, and transformations. Cars of this era were more than tools, they were partners in people's journeys. The Fury, with its strong personality, became especially memorable. For some, it represented independence. For others, it was a reward for hard work. And for many, it was simply the most beautiful machine they had ever owned. The cultural impact of the Fury extended beyond personal anecdotes. The car was featured in promotional materials, magazines, and later on in film and television, enhancing its status as an American icon. Although the most famous pop culture reference to the Fury would come decades later, the seeds of its legendary reputation were planted firmly during these years. Plymouth did not just market the Fury as a vehicle, it presented it as an aspiration, something people could take pride in. The company's advertisements showcased the car in glamorous settings, speeding along coastal highways, parked beside modern architecture, or glowing beneath the neon lights of a bustling city. These images reinforced the idea that owning a Fury meant stepping into a more vibrant and exciting version of life. Even the challenges the Fury faced during its production years contributed to its mythology. The late 1950s were turbulent for car manufacturers due to changes in consumer behavior, shifts in economic conditions, and increasing competition. Yet, despite these obstacles, the Fury remained a standout in the Plymouth lineup. Its bold styling, reliable engineering, and strong performance kept it in the spotlight. Some buyers initially hesitated because of the radical appearance of the fins or the futuristic design elements, but many of these skeptics eventually became admirers once they experienced the car in motion or saw it dominate the streets in their communities. One of the more remarkable aspects of the Fury story is how it managed to capture the spirit of innovation without losing its connection to traditional American values. The car embraced the future with its styling and performance, yet it felt familiar and trustworthy. It conveyed a sense of stability, even as it pushed boundaries. This balance resonated with buyers and helped the Fury stand out in a crowded market. While other cars from the era have faded into obscurity, the Fury remains a symbol of both stability and daring, a reflection of a country navigating the tension between tradition and progress. The Fury's presence at car shows and community gatherings throughout the late 1950s further solidified its importance in the lives of American drivers. Local car enthusiasts proudly displayed their Furys at meets, where crowds gathered to admire the flawless paint, gleaming chrome, and dramatic tail fins. Owners invested countless hours into maintaining and perfecting their cars, turning them into rolling works of art. These gatherings became social events, filled with conversations about engine modifications, road trip stories, and the memories tied to the car. The Fury brought people together, strengthening its identity as more than just a machine. By the time the initial era of the Fury, the 1956 to 1959 period, came to an end, it had established a powerful legacy that would influence future generations of automotive design. Plymouth continued to evolve the Fury name in the years that followed, but the original models remained the purest expressions of the concept. Enthusiasts look back at those first few years as the pinnacle of the Fury's identity, the moment when it was not just a model but a symbol. Collectors today cherish these early Furys, restoring them with care and admiration. Many of these cars sit in private collections, museums, or carefully controlled environments, but others still roam the roads, gleaming under the sunlight just as they did decades ago. The Fury's influence is still felt in the automotive world today. Modern designers studying the history of American cars often cite the late 1950s Fury as a masterpiece of proportions and vision. Its lines, angles, and shapes embody a boldness that remains rare even in contemporary production. It represents a time when car manufacturers dared to dream big, to innovate wildly, and to take risks. The Fury is a reminder of the creative courage that defined American automotive engineering during one of its most imaginative periods. But beyond its role in shaping design philosophy, the Fury lives on because of the emotional impact it had on ordinary people. Even those who never owned one felt its presence, whether they admired it from afar, saw it in passing, or heard stories from friends and family. The Fury inspired awe, curiosity, and even reverence. It was the kind of car that could stop conversations, silence a room, or draw a crowd in seconds. To this day, survivors of the late 1950s Fury models evoke deep feelings of nostalgia in those who encounter them. Many people describe a sense of wonder when they stand beside a restored Fury, almost as if they are looking into a portal that reveals a brighter, more optimistic America. Collectors frequently talk about the unique satisfaction of restoring a Fury. Every screw, every panel, every piece of trim holds a story. Bringing one back to life is like reviving a piece of history. When a restored Fury rolls out of a garage once again after decades of silence, it feels like a moment of rebirth, not just for the car, but for the era it represents. The smell of old leather, the weight of the steering wheel, the shine of polished chrome, and the unmistakable shape of the fins remind enthusiasts why the Fury remains an enduring treasure. Today, the Fury from 1956 to 1959 stands as a monument to American ingenuity, style, and passion. It represents the essence of a nation that looked toward the future with confidence. It captures a time when the automobile was not just a means of transportation, but a reflection of cultural identity. The Fury's combination of power, elegance, and personality created a legacy that continues to grow as new generations discover its beauty and significance. People who encounter the Fury for the first time today often react with the same awe felt by drivers in the 1950s. They marvel at the dramatic design, the imposing presence, and the luxurious touches. They imagine what it must have been like to see one brand new, shining on a dealership floor or gliding through a city at night. The Fury's ability to evoke these emotions decades later is proof of its extraordinary power as an automotive icon. The story of the Plymouth Fury from 1956 to 1959 is ultimately a story about desire. It is about the desire to go faster, to live boldly, to stand out, and to embrace the future. It is about the desire for beauty, for freedom, and for connection. It is about the desire to own something that feels alive, something that reflects ambition and imagination. The Fury captured all of these desires and turned them into reality. It became the most desired car in America because it was more than metal and engines, it was a dream on wheels. Although decades have passed, the legend of the Fury continues to burn bright. Collectors restore them, museums display them, and enthusiasts share stories about them. The car remains one of the clearest windows into the American spirit of the 1950s, a spirit of confidence, curiosity, and unshakable belief in a better tomorrow. The Fury did not just travel roads, it carved its way into the hearts of millions, leaving a trail of admiration that stretches across generations. Those who were fortunate enough to drive or own a Fury often say the same thing: the car didn't just take them places, it transformed them. It made them feel part of something grand, something thrilling, something uniquely American. And that, more than anything, is why the Plymouth Fury of 1956 to 1959 remains a masterpiece. It wasn't just the most desired car in America, it was, and continues to be, a symbol of what America once dreamed of becoming, and what it still strives to be.